Hi, I'm Sheila McKenna, and you're watching Push Factor, and I'd like to thank you for watching this episode. I used to think that the idea of a midlife crisis was only for middle aged white men. I say that because of all the movies that I watched growing up. It always depicted, when you heard the word midlife crisis, it was always associated with that guy whose marriage was failing, or who just decided out of nowhere to divorce his wife of 20 something years and get with some woman half his age, and he goes off and buys a Ferrari, and wears a toupee if his hair was if he was balding, that kind of thing. And that's what I always thought a midlife crisis was. So that idea started to change for me, I'd say a couple of years ago when I turned 35, because I was going through certain emotions and I couldn't understand them. There was so much remorse and regret for where I had reached in my life, and feeling like that there was so much that I hadn't done and hadn't accomplished. Just thinking that I was running out of time. You're 35 years old and there's so much you haven't done. Look at your peers and look at everything that they've done. And here you are still scratching and scrounging and figuring this stuff out. There are so many of us who feel like we failed in life. That by a certain age, there are certain things that we should have been doing. We should have been accomplishing. We should have been, and we just feel like we fell flat on our faces. There's so many people I know who are living with so much anxiety and, like I said, regret, and are just feeling like, man, I am a complete failure. What have I been doing? I'm 40 years old and this hasn't worked out. I was trying this and I lost so much more than I have gained. Like, what is the purpose? So I decided to actually look for the meaning of the word, or the words midlife crisis. And I came across something that I felt was very similar to what so many of us are going through. And I realized, you know what? It's not for people who are over 45 years old. There's so many people, so many of us who are in our 30s who just feel like, oh my God, I have messed up. Oh, I hurt myself, and this is the only way that I could cure the situation. This whole thing about a midlife crisis is not just for people who are over 45, to tell you the truth. And it's not exclusively for white men either. A lot of us in our 30s feel like there's so much more we could have done with our time. There's so much time we have wasted. So many opportunities that we had that we just kind of let slip away. And it's very difficult to watch 1 year after another just go by, and it makes you even more anxious because you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing with my life? What in the world is going on here? I've been on this planet for this long and I still haven't figured it out. And the thing about living this way is that you can't even afford to sit back and take stock of what you've done. You're scared to death of backtracking and looking at your life and realizing just how wrong things have been, because it's just going to create even more pain and more anxiety, and you cannot deal with that. You're probably married, you have children, you have bills to pay, you have so many things that are going on in your life right now, and you're in over your and you feel like you're in over your head. And then having with this going on, how in the world Do you have time to take stock of this life that you created that you're not even happy about? And I'm not doing this video because I have answers. I really don't. I want to shed more light to the fact that there are many of us who are scared to death of being failures. And it's so easy to say, then why don't you just get out and do something about it? But when you feel like you don't have the resources and you don't have the support, and you feel like you're on your own because it looks like everybody else around you has their stuff together and you don't, and you're sitting there in this deep hole of fear, this impending doom, it's not something that you can just fix. When you planned out this life that you thought was going to make you happy, and you thought it was going to give you all that you needed, and you came into the middle of it, and it has done almost nothing for you. Yes, it has given you some wonderful rewards, but what has it done for your growth? What has it done for your soul? What has it done for your evolution? And I think that's the part that scares people the most. After everything I've done, I don't feel like I've lived a meaningful life. I don't feel like I've done anything that is of real purpose. And I wake up every morning and I spend my days doing things that just leave me dead inside. It's scary. It's scary to be in that situation. But I want to provide some level of hope, because I'm really a believer that there is no way that you're not in control of your life. You are. So I'm not here to talk about, what are the symptoms of being in a midlife crisis, and, how can you, what are the ways to cure it? I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to remind you and myself that there is the next chapter of our lives. For those of us who are going through a major crisis right now, and we're asking ourselves, what am I doing? What is this life that I've created? Who am I? I no longer recognize myself. I don't feel like I'm living for myself. I feel like I'm doing all of this for everybody else. I'm fulfilling everybody else's expectations. But I don't even know what I really want. If these are conversations that you have with yourself, and it's becoming more and more frequent, to me that's like a call from life to invite you to start considering the next chapter of your life. I know it's terrifying. It's terrifying to look at things that you've built and you've created and realize that you have to break some of those things down. There's certain things that you have to let go of. This identity that you've created around this life that you know is no longer serving you the way you know it can, because it's a lie. It's a lie. It's not who you are. So having said that, there's the next chapter of your life staring you in the face and asking you, what do you want? Who do you want to be? What do you want to create? What do you want to break down and let go of and take? What's the stuff that really matters that you want to take with you? And the reason why so many of us are not going to heed that call to create the next chapter of our lives is because we are scared to death of losing. We're so scared of losing who we are right now that we are not willing to explore the possibility of who we can be. And I'm not even shaming any of us who are going through that right now. It's a terrifying process. And it's okay. It's okay to feel that way, to feel like, you know what? I can't deal with this right now. I know that this is going on inside of me, but I can't deal with it. I don't want to. I want you to know that it's okay to feel that way. I'm not trying to, tell you that there's this person that you have to be or else. This is not an ultimatum. Having said that, there is something about the soul where eventually it will have its way. Eventually, the version of you, that small voice that keeps telling you that there's a truth inside you that needs to come out, it's only going to get stronger and stronger. And I think the thing that scares me when I look at people around me and people that I love who are coming to this realization is that there's so many of us who are doing the best we can to suppress that voice. And that is the most devastating thing that you can do. Because it only gets uglier. The more you try to numb your pain, the more you betray who you really are. And you can't afford to do that, especially when you are creating more and more self-awareness. The one thing that I'm appreciating more and more about people is that we're actually starting to challenge truths, challenge these beliefs and these social structures that no longer make sense to us. But it's scary. There's no other word I can use, but it's terrifying. Right now I can't find any other word because that's the most appropriate way of me describing who we have to be at a certain time in our lives. So for those of you who are in this situation where you're wondering to yourself, what am I going to do? What's the next step? I think my suggestion to you is, first of all, to start forgiving yourself for who you believe you couldn't be, what you believe you couldn't do and you couldn't achieve, all the opportunities that you lost, all the things that could have worked out for you that didn't. I really, really suggest that you start to come to terms with those feelings. I think it's very important for you to start accepting who you are now and where you are. And I see no reason for you to be ashamed of what you've done. I don't want you to think that the life that you've created was all in vain. Think of it as everything you need to carry on to the next phase of your life. So in conclusion, I just wanted to say that the best way you can respond to the crisis that is going on in your mind is to stop betraying yourself. Do more things in remembrance of you. Try your best to stop making so much compromise and sacrifice to a point that you barely have, a piece of yourself. You barely know who you are. because you've given away so much to other people. Start doing things that are true to you. Start doing things that give you peace and real happiness and fulfillment. Start to find more meaning in your life. Start to say no more often. There are so many of us who are a lot more selfless than we should be. Like I said, giving so much of yourself that you barely have enough for you. Start doing these small things. Start taking note of how you feel. Keep a journal of what you're going through, and recognize these feelings. Don't suppress them. Go for therapy. Talk to somebody on a professional level. And if you can't do that, or you don't feel comfortable enough to trust somebody to be that vulnerable, then talk to somebody that you do love and trust. Let it out. You're not alone in this process. There are so many of us who are going through our own versions of crises. So that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. And if there's anything in this video, if there's a message that you feel can resonate with somebody in your life, go right ahead and share. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Your Push Factor. Go ahead and do that right now before you leave. And thanks for watching. I'll be posting many more videos. And take good care of yourselves. Have a good one. Bye for now. Peace.